Good morning and welcome to Peace Out. Hey, since I had to go mobile, I decided to switch it up a little bit. Hope you like the new scenery. Right? We'll see. Maybe we'll try some new things. You never know what I might come up around here. Anywhere for that matter. You just know. Silly old lady videos, right? Silly old lady pictures, so you just never know. Hope you're having a great morning, though. Welcome to Peace Out, where we're all figuring out together how to just let God's peace reign in our hearts, right? That's always the catch is that He gave us peace. That's the given. The catch is learning how to let it reign and learning how to reel our thoughts back in, reel our emotions back in, rely on Him instead of our own resources, right? That's a little bit about what we're going to talk about this morning. You see, I'm still reading in Exodus, and I just keep getting stuck because I keep seeing these little things. And again, that's what I love about the Word is it's alive. And every time I go back, there's something new because I've changed. Hopefully, I've changed for the better. Hopefully, I've matured in my relationship with God. Hopefully, I've matured in my knowledge of the Word and on my increased in my abilities to meditate and think about His Word, right, and things like that. And so, hopefully, that I've changed when I go back and go, oh, there's something there I never saw before. And I did that this morning, and so I made it all the way to chapter 15. No, that's pretty good. That's not too bad, right? so I'm still looking at the children of Israel, and in chapter 15, they have come to Mara, which means bitter, and they found the water is bitter. Now, before I talk about that spot, let's talk about where they've been. They were slaves. God came in. He just did a triple play. He delivered them from Egypt, which included a whole bunch of stuff, right? When God does something, it usually includes a whole lot of stuff. It included breaking off the chains of slavery and setting them free. He did all kinds of miracles right under their noses. They've seen God do. They saw God do all 10 plagues. They saw God come in and turn the water into blood, and they saw the power of God in that deliverance. But they didn't stop there. They leave. We talked about this yesterday. They leave. They come to the Red Sea. They're like, now what are we going to do? That was not the right question either, right? I titled this today, Are We Asking the Right Questions, right? They come to the Red Sea. Pharaoh's army's coming in behind them. So he's already brought them out of Egypt. He parted the Red Sea. And then he wiped Pharaoh's army off the face of the earth. God's great triple play. He's done 3 huge miracles, and that doesn't even count all the little ones that I didn't weave in there. It would take all day to talk about all the things God did just to get them to this spot. And chapter 15 is their song of deliverance. And it starts out, I love, we used to sing this in the 70s, right? In the big charismatic, the horse and the rider's thrown into the sea. I will sing unto the Lord, right? That's what they were singing. Sorry to sing. Don't leave. Just stay. Don't unfollow me. You guys saying, I'm sorry. But he said, they sang, I will sing to the Lord. He has triumphed gloriously. He has thrown both horse and rider into the sea. He brought them across on dry land. He wiped out an entire army that was chasing them. This is God's triple play. He brought them out of Egypt, crossed the Red Sea on dry ground, and wiped out the enemy. And they're singing in chapter 15, I believe the whole chapter, down to verse 22, is all a song of praise. And they were playing their tambourines. They were singing to the Lord. He has triumphed gloriously. He has thrown the horse and the rider into the sea. And then they come to Mara, and there's no water. There's water. It's just bitter. And isn't that sometimes like life? Oh, there's stuff going on. It's just difficult. There's stuff going on. It's just bitter, right? There's stuff going on. It's just not what I wanted at this moment, or it doesn't meet the need. It didn't meet their need. They could see water, but they couldn't drink it. That had to be frustrating. But they said, what are we going to drink? What are we going to do? That was the wrong question, right? Now, Moses goes to God, and it actually says down there, it says it was here that Mara laid before them the following condition. He tested their faithfulness. God does not tempt us, but He does test us. And God is the God of questions. Our first conversation in the Bible is that we read is between God and Adam. Where are you, Adam? Now, God knew the answer to that question, right? He didn't need information. He didn't need Adam to say, well, he was more like, I know where you are, but where are you relationally? Because God's about relationship, right? He's passionate about a relationship with his people, right? So he was pursuing Adam. Where are you, Adam? So God doesn't dislike questions. As a matter of fact, this question, God said, was a bad question because they doubted, right? And instead of asking, what are we? They should have started the question with, what is God going to do? But don't we do that? Don't we see God brings us out of, maybe we were in a financial tight spot, and God miraculously opens up, maybe every once in a while I get an offering. That's a great miracle for me, right? Every once in a while I get a really good job or somebody that pays on time. That's really good too, right? And he brought me through something. I was like, yay, God, help me get through that. I don't know how I'm going to pay my bills, and God did it. Or maybe we're dealing with something physically. Maybe we're physically ill. And I mean, I know I have personally been healed. And I know people who have personally been healed miraculously, right? And so we know the hand of God, right? There's all kinds of stories we could share of how God has operated in our lives. And sometimes there's just things beyond what we can describe. Sometimes there's just things beyond what we can even comprehend. And we know that God had a hand in it, right? And we know that he brought us through something. And yet when we come to that bitter water, great, now what am I going to do? You ain't got to do nothing. I ain't got to do nothing except trust God, right? And so instead of praying and saying, hey, God, what am I going to do? The children of Israel started whining and complaining and griping. And what are we going to do now? We should have died in Egypt, right? That was always their answer. We could have just died in Egypt, right? Because isn't that our worst case scenario on anything? I could just die. We're all going to die. That's one of our funny questions of our pop culture is, but did you die? And they didn't. But hadn't they seen all these things God already did? They were there, right? They were there when God brought them out of Egypt. They walked across the Red Sea, the seabed, on dry land. These same people, saw Pharaoh's army wash off into the sea. They saw God's triple play. 3 big things God had done. They witnessed it. And then they get in a tight spot. And just like, I won't say us, just like I do sometimes, that way I'm not putting it on you, just like I do sometimes, I immediately go, oh, great, now what? Right? Or I ask the wrong question. What am I going to do now? That's not the right question. The right question is, hey, God, how are you going to work this out? See, I've told several times that every year I've lived here, they've raised my rent. Every single year I'm praying. And last year was small, so that was good. So this year we're praying for small or no, nothing, right? But every year when they do that, I go, hey, God, they raised your rent, right? Because it's not ultimately my problem. My job is to trust God. And I work diligently too. So it's not like I'm just sitting here expecting it to just fall from heaven, which is a great idea, God, by the way. Anyway, but every year I tell God, your rent went up. Your electricity bill's really high this month, God, because he's my provider. The right question is, what is God going to do? And what am I going to do? Right? The right question is, the right heart position is, God, I'm going to trust you with this too. I was in Egypt, you brought me out. I came to the Red Sea, you brought me across. The enemy was coming in behind, you wiped him out. So what is bitter water after all of that? And the interesting thing about this story is God showed Moses a tree, the right tree. And I don't know about it scientifically, but that's a cool idea, a cool thought I'd like to study out, right? What kind of tree was it? How does it really make bitter water sweet, right? But God showed Moses a tree. He cut the tree down, and the tree came into the water. Now that tree we can use as a symbolism for the cross, because sometimes life gets bitter. And maybe it doesn't for you, but sometimes life gets bitter for me. But when I put the cross in it, when I take the cross through it, it makes those bitter places sweet. It makes those hard places a little bit easier to navigate. It ensures me that when the floods come, they won't carry me away. When the fire comes, it's not going to burn me up, right? God has always got me. So I want to change my questions. I can't tell you to change yours because I don't know. Maybe you got all the right questions. But immediately when something happens, I'm always like, oh, great, what am I? No, let's start with, okay, God, what will you do? How will you do this, God? And we'll change that heart position to one of trust rather than whining and griping like they did, right? Because that's easier to do sometimes. But we'll turn it to one of trust and go, okay, God, do you want me to do something? Because he did require Moses to do something, right? He put the tree in the water. Do you want, I can participate with God, but I'm going to fully trust God for whatever is on my plate today. Whatever comes across my plate today, I just will ask the right questions. What should I do, God? How are you going to help me, God? How are you, give me wisdom, God? Rather than, oh, great, good job, God, way to go. Because that's usually what I do, honestly. And then I get around to the right question, right? So that's how asking that right question, getting in that position of just trusting God no matter what. That's the way to handle it. That's the way to peace out, right? When something comes, you got that initial thing to figure out, the emotions and those crazy thoughts that go through your head, and then you go, okay, it doesn't matter. I'm still going to trust God. I'm still going to peace out. Peace out, you guys. I hope I had said something that made sense. Have a great day. Peace out. I'll see you tomorrow.